and it's Charlotte improves their team year after year. Maybe Chris Paul might want to go home himself to North Carolina and play basketball. So, but at the same time, all this ain't nothing but NBA Live, our dream team fantasy.
I think it was hype.
Whatever.
I think it was hype. Chris Paul knew what he was doing.
I think Chris Paul just wanted to say something because people forgot he was in the NBA.
Well, let me ask y'all one question, kind of off topic. With all of these all-star teams being formed, do you think this hurts the NBA? Because you look at it, if I'm David Stern, I'm looking at it like, all right, I lost one superstar in LeBron James in Cleveland. Now I'm losing another star and Chris Bosh to Miami. So that's technically three superstars you have playing on one team in a league that markets itself on the individual stars. Do you think that'll affect the NBA?
I've heard this discussion everywhere, and it's ridiculous to say that this is going to hurt the NBA. In the 80s, they had the Lakers and the Celtics, which grossed so much money. Even in our current era, we had the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs.
Well, I think the Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs, that's the San Antonio Spurs, that's different because kind of that talent was homegrown with Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker,
are you talking about but are you talking about superpower teams, or are we just talking about individuals?
I'm talking about stars, individual stars, because this league is made off of
it's going to make the league money. But to play like this, that Miami Heat team is going to make the league money. They're going to sell out many arenas. The league will make their money. Now, are we talking about in terms of the whole league? Are we talking about competition? Or are we talking about money for the league, revenue for the league?
Revenue for the league.
The league will make their money.
The league is not going to go broke with as far as them being in Miami. And to piggyback off what Wally was saying earlier as far as with the Celtics and the Lakers, I mean, the Lakers had Magic Johnson, Kareem, and James Worthy at one point. And how they even got the number one pick to even get James Worthy always is like, wow. I mean, you guys won a championship.
How they get Magic Johnson when they had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Yeah. And the same thing as far as with the Celtics. Bird, Parrish, I mean, even outside of them, the 76ers, when they had Dr. J, Moses Malone, and all those guys, I mean,
look at the current
Lakers. The NBA has always had teams going back from the 80s and 70s. I mean, think about it. Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, and Will Chamberlain all played on the same team together. Bill Russell and all those guys had 3 Hall of Famers on the same team one time, too. So it's not like this is unusual. It's just that within the past, maybe, say, 20 years of like the 90s, and since, to be honest with you, since we went to the system of the lottery, where you don't see as much talent on one team as you did back in the day. Think about it. Even Dominique Wilkins, when he played for the Atlanta Hawks, they had Doc Rivers. I mean, Doc Rivers may not have been considered one of the top 2 or 3 point guards in the league, but he was a star of himself. I mean, they had talent on that team. So, I mean, you see teams in the 80s, it wasn't just one guy and a bunch of bums around. They went 3 deep, or most major playoff title contending teams.
Even this Lakers championship squad has a boatload of talent. Lamar Odom.
They have talent, but they don't have superstars.
I think their superstars are Gasol and
Kobe Bryant, a superstar big man, and we have all-world Kobe Bryant.
I wouldn't say.
Gasol is a
superstar. I say he's a star player.
Gasol in many circles is the best big man.
You can make the argument Gasol is the number 1 power forward in the league. I mean, people are going to make that argument.
You can make that argument.
If you're going to be one of the top big men, you're going to be. To me, you're a superstar type of player.
Okay,
but I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Let's jump into those trades that's been going on. If you haven't heard, Al Jefferson, he's on his way to Utah. David Lee's on his way to Golden State. Wally, your boy Mike Beasley's on his way up to Minnesota. I mean, it's a lot of trading going on right now and a lot of signing trades going on in the NBA. This first one, let's jump into that Al Jefferson going to Utah. To me, I think it's a good trade for Utah because, to me, you get a better player in Al Jefferson than what you got rid of in Boozer, because Al Jefferson's a little bigger than Boozer. He may not be a better rebounder than Boozer, but he's a little bigger, and he's a little younger, even though he's had a lot of knee injuries in the past. But I think you really get a good player, and I think he may even flourish even more in Utah.
I think this was a robbery, if you ask me. I think Utah, it was a stick-up. Essentially, Minnesota got a trade exception for $14 million for a young big like Al Jefferson, a guy that averaged, what did he average, like 20? Yeah, 20 and 10 last year.
Last year? Yeah. He was hurt last year.
Before Al Jefferson got hurt, he probably would have been an All-Star. He's been averaging.
He always averages double.
Yeah, 20 and 10, and you just get a trade exception. No first-round picks, anything. No players to kind of fill in that role. Yeah, who's your star now?
Yeah,
Kevin Love.
Utah sent him 2 picks in return for Al Jefferson.
Is the new star.
Utah sent him 2. Utah sent Minnesota two future first-round picks for Al Jefferson, which would probably be late first-round picks because Utah go to the playoffs every year, so you're not really giving them anything. And in the last couple of years, Minnesota sucks at drafting. So what did you really give up for Al Jefferson?
Basically, all they wanted to do is make room for Michael Beasley, which is on my blog. Check it out at www.urbansportscene.blogspot.com. What I said on that blog was that Michael Beasley now has an opportunity to be featured on a team, a young team. It's comparable to how Kevin Durant had an opportunity to flourish on a young team at OKC, how Derrick Rose got an opportunity to flourish with a young Chicago squad. Now Michael Beasley has an opportunity to get touches and to actually show his offensive game on a team that's from the bottom starting up.
Well, the thing about Beasley when going to Minnesota has a crowded front court because don't forget they still got Kevin Love.
Yeah.
I don't know why they gave Darko Milicic all that money for him to come up there. I mean, it's still a crowded front court, but I think of all the guys up there, Beasley can be easily the guy to come out and shine.
To me, I like Kevin Love. I think Kevin Love is a good player. I think it speaks volumes that Minnesota tried to trade this doing sign and trade to get David Lee at the time. So what it told me is just a fan just looking at what's going on is that, well, Kevin Love isn't the guy they want starting. So they made a trade to get Michael Beasley, who I think is a steal anyway. If you're talking about steals, Minnesota just gave up a second-round pick to get Michael Beasley.
I mean, it was a steal, but I mean, you can see the angle that Miami was coming from. They needed that extra.
Well, and I see that, but I think they're going to regret the day they did that because to me, we're talking about a guy, and I always say, well, this guy, watching basketball, we know good scorers need 20 shots. Am I correct? About 20 shots. Beasley only took average shot attempts was 13 in 29 minutes and averaged 14.8 on 13 shot attempts. Now he's going to get an opportunity to get shots. He shoots at a 45% clip. He gets an opportunity not to just be on the outside shooting jump shots on pick and rolls, can play inside now and gives him more opportunities to get double-doubles.
Don't get too excited, Wally. We read your blog, man.
I know. I got to plug it. I read it.
We know you got excited over there.
Man, I had to, man. You know what I mean? I got to plug my blog anyway. You know, I got the information on my blog out here.
Give them the address one more time.
Okay. Thanks, Will. I appreciate that. www.urbansportscene.blogspot.com. I'm happy for the guy. I think LeBron James coming to Miami was the best thing that ever happened to him. I think this gives Michael Beasley the opportunity, and it gives him the pressure, the true pressure to say, okay, now it's really all on me. You know what I mean? I watched him play with Dwayne Wade, and I didn't see them really
I don't think it was a good fit with him.
It wasn't a good fit, and I don't see them getting him involved like they could have. I think if they really wanted that kid to flourish, he would get plenty of opportunities. I mean, it's not even when Dwayne Wade was on the court. When he was on the bench, when he was on the bench, Michael Beasley was never featured. They're featuring Chalmers, a second-round pick. It's crazy.
Man,
it's just crazy.
You should break out your Beasley jersey.
Hey, I'm going to. I'm going to get one.
You went to like 20 high schools, but I know you got one somewhere.
I'm going to get one.
I mean, if Michael Beasley can, get his maturity level together, he can be something in his league. But at the same time, when Miami was picking him, I don't think Miami got stuck with him. They really were going after Derrick Rose, and they wound up with the second pick.
Mayo, because Wade wanted Mayo for real. But
the other trade, David Lee going to Golden State, I mean, is it a good pick? Because I don't –
because you got to look at it. To
me, sorry. I mean, Don Nelson and like threes and fours, he doesn't really – I would have preferred David Lee to go to another better title contender team than the Golden State.
David Lee is not an actual –
he's not a superstar, but he's
not a traditional post-up player.
Yeah.
So he can get his points on fast break. This is the best team to me for him to flourish, to keep his numbers, is Golden State. A team that he doesn't have to be featured. He doesn't have to be featured. Yeah. He can still get his numbers off rebounds. Stephen Curry can find him on penetrating and dishing off for dunks. This is still a good place for David Lee because he could still be David Lee in his offense.
Man, Will, your Knicks are losing David Lee, man. You're not upset over that?
I'm not too upset over it. I do think David Lee was a good player, but I think that what the Knicks got back in return, I think they got a lot. They got some good talent back in return. Anthony Randolph, Azubuike. I think those are two players that will fit well around Amari Stoudemire.
I think Anthony Randolph Anthony Randolph.
Yeah.
I think he's awesome. I think he's a big-time talent. I think that was a steal. When you were saying about him not producing big men, Don Nelson really miscoached Randolph.
The past couple big men they've got, I mean, I think
– Well, they drafted messed up, too.
With the one Tuesday they've drafted because with Randolph, I mean, you know you're going to have to give him time because he came out as